All right, let's get right into it. Everyone loves talking about the cloud. It's the destination, right? The shiny new thing. But today, we're going to talk about the most overlooked and honestly, the most critical part of the entire journey. And that's drawing the map before you even think about taking that first step. Because believe me, a successful cloud migration, it starts long before you move a single server.
I want you to just look at this number for a second. 75%. A recent survey found that a full 3/4 of all cloud migrations either blow way past their budget or, and this is the real kicker, they just fail to deliver what the business actually needed. We're talking 3 out of every 4 projects hitting a major snag. And that's not just about money, It's about performance issues, security holes, and projects that just fall flat.
So you have to ask, right? With all the amazing tools and brilliant people we have working on this stuff, why are so many projects struggling? What's the common thread here? Where are things going so wrong? Well, the answer is surprisingly simple, but it's everything. They skip the most important step. They try to build this incredibly complex new house in the cloud without first creating a detailed architectural blueprint of the house they're already living in. It's like starting to pour the concrete foundation when you have no idea where the walls are even supposed to go. So, what does that actually look like when it happens? Let's talk about what happens when you try to do this massive digital construction project without any kind of plan.
And this quote just nails it. This is where the chaos starts. You start moving an app thinking it's easy, and then bam, halfway through, you realize it's tied to a database you left behind on-prem. I mean, can you imagine your e-commerce site going dark on Black Friday because of one little connection you missed? That is the reality of migrating without a blueprint. It's unexpected outages, panicked rollbacks, and budgets that just spiral.
Okay, so how do we dodge all that chaos? How do we start drawing our blueprint? Well, the very first step is actually pretty basic. You gotta know what you've got. You have to create a complete catalog of everything running in your environment right now. So this application inventory, this is ground zero. It is a full list of every piece of software, every server, every little service that's chugging along. A lot of times, the data to start this comes from something called a CMDB, which is basically a big master list of all your IT stuff. But as you're about to see, that list, that's just the beginning of the story. To make this all feel a bit more real, let's follow the journey of one very typical application. We're just going to call it Legacy App. You probably have one of these. It's that big, old, critical application that's been around forever. Everyone relies on it, but the people who originally built it, they're long gone. Now, if you go and ask a manager, hey, what does Legacy App do? They'll give you a pretty simple answer. Oh, it handles orders, processes payments, and makes reports. Seems pretty straightforward, right? Easy enough to move. And this simple surface-level view is exactly where things start to go off the rails. Which brings us to the next crucial part of our blueprint. We've got our list of parts. Now we have to figure out how they're all wired together. Think of it like mapping out the hidden plumbing and electrical systems in our building. This is where the real complexity is hiding, and it's what'll get you every time. So we have to dig deeper and ask the real question. We know what it's supposed to do on the surface, but what's actually happening under the hood? What other systems is Legacy App secretly talking to just to get its job done? And once you start digging in, maybe using tools like Azure Migrate that automatically discover these connections, the picture gets way more complicated. Turns out, to manage those orders, it's hitting an old mainframe database. To process payments, it's calling out to an external API. Those reports, they get dumped onto an on-prem file share that some other department totally depends on. Oh, and the whole thing is authenticated by that old Active Directory server you were hoping to get rid of. So just trying to lift and shift this app, to just pick it up and drop it in the cloud, it would have been an absolute disaster. All right, so now we have a map. We know what we have, we know how it's all connected. But our blueprint needs 2 more layers. We need to understand why each app is important to the business, and we need to know what technical gremlins might be hiding inside it. So you've got these 2 sides of the same coin. On one hand, you've got business criticality. How much money does this thing make? Can it be down for an hour? A minute? Those are your SLAs, your promises to the business. And on the other hand, you've got the gnarly technical constraints. Is it running on some ancient operating system? Does it have IP addresses literally hard-coded into the source code? You have to understand both of these to make any smart decisions at all. So, after all this work, the digging, the mapping, the analyzing, we are finally ready. We've taken all this information and boiled it down into our final blueprint. This is the checklist that's going to guide every single thing we do from here on out. And here it is. This is it. This is what you need. Before you even think about designing your cloud environment, you have to have these 4 things locked down: a full inventory, a complete dependency map showing everything your app talks to and everything that talks back to it. You need the business requirements and SLAs written down, and you need a list of all those technical roadblocks that you're going to have to solve.
And please don't underestimate how powerful this is. This blueprint, it becomes the single source of truth for the entire project. Every technical debate, every budget meeting, every timeline argument, it all comes back to the data you've gathered right here. This is how you stop guessing and start strategizing.
And that brings us to the final, and maybe the most important thought. This blueprint gives you a perfect, crystal clear picture of your current world. But here's the thing. The real magic of the cloud isn't just about moving your old house to a new neighborhood. It's the chance to build a better one. So the real question this whole process forces you to ask is not just, can we move this? But should we? And that, right there, is the beginning of real transformation.